Hello and welcome to another video from me, Rough Swordsman, Wargamer. And today I'm doing another Open the Book. And this book we're going to look at is the third book in the series. And it is SOE, Lysander, a solitaire air war game designed by Thomas Van Hare in association with his webpage Historic Wings. And I must thank Thomas once again for sending me this review copy for you to have a look at. So, what's all this about? SOE Lysander is a solitaire air war game in a narrative style. Your mission is to carry highly trained SOE saboteurs, escape line directors, wireless operators, couriers and others from England into German-occupied France. Drop them off and pick up others before returning to RAF Tangmere. Flying by the light of the full moon, you will face German night fighters, flak, and the Gestapo. So, designed by Thomas Van Hare, as I said earlier, this is the third of a series of book-based war games, and the first of the new Special Missions collection. It combines card-driven play with dice-rolling action to bring the challenges of RAF Special Duties operations in France to life. You play the role of a single pilot whose mission is to aid the resistance and, if luck holds, survive to see Paris liberated. Le dés sont sur le tapis. Translation, the dice are on the carpet. And this was the code words used on the BBC Radio Londres that activated the French resistance in Brittany just before D-Day. So, complexity is 5 out of 10. Age range 10 plus, number of players solitaire, and the time to play 15 to 60 minutes. So it's a well-produced book available on Amazon, and it is, believe it or not, 108 pages, because if you know Thomas's solitaire air war game books, you know not only do you have a well-designed game in there, but a plethora of other information about the history, the planes, and the people involved. So let's have a look. So here we've got some that are available. We've looked at Tally Ho and Mag 23, and in development you can see there are huge amounts in the pipeline. So we've got a contents and a bit of an introduction. So this SOE Lysander, Special Operations Executive, you play the part of a pilot in Britain's most secret air unit, A-Flight, of RAF Squadron 161. Special duties. So your missions will be to fly out Special Intelligence Service, SIS, and Special Operations Executive SOE agents, wireless operators, saboteurs, assassins, escape line directors, diplomats, and so on, into German-occupied France during World War II. If you're successful and land, you drop off the agents and the cargo and pick up others for the return flight to England. But of course, all manner of nasty things are going to try to stop you from doing that. Once again, a big thing with these books is the logbook. These are very narrative, and Thomas gives suggestions of how to record that. So how to play, an overview. Game scale, composition of forces and so on. Dice. The components. Now this is a print and play game as always. The stuff you need to print off is of course in the book, but if you don't want to damage the book by bending it back too much, all the files you need are on BGG, and I'll leave a link for those in the description. So you've got the terrain cards. So it's a little bit like, if you know the game Fields of Fire, where the terrain is marked out with cards, skill chits, status markers. And having a quick look through this book, it's quite an intense game for a book game, which is great. Bit of crunch to it. Here's the mission diary, create your own. pilot logbook, create your own. Sequence of play, initial setup, and it goes then into more detail of this sequence of play. Sequence of play B, monthly operations, and sequence of play C, mission preparation. So you see a lot of detail in this book, as you can see. Sequence of play D, flight operations, everything you need to do with that. Selecting altitude. Night fighter following you, not great. And then sequence of play E, ground operations at the landing zone. And if you're lucky, returning. And then we've got the sort of 3 at the end here, G, H, and I, end of mission debriefing, rest, repair, and healing, and end of the month sort of summary. And even though this is a solitaire game, there are ways for you to play it multiplayer. How to do all that. So quite a bit on that. So it's not just something that's bolted on. It's looks like Thomas has spent a bit of time and thought putting this together. There we are, great picture. I do like the Lysander. And here we've got the initial setup, telling you what to do in each sort of sequence of play part. Quite involved by the looks of it. What you need to do in each of these sequence of plays. And then tables. So a few of those, of course, and how to use them. Pilot training, getting your awards and decorations, promotions. And mission preparations, because it depends when you're doing this. The weather will obviously affect your mission. Special mission assignments. Is it on or is it off? We've got do or die requirements. Dear oh dear. Flight operations, outbound and return. Crikey, there's a lot in this book. Looks really good. Lots of tables and things. Not sure if these are included in the PDFs you can get from BGG. Would be helpful if they are. And there is also a campaign game, which the other books have. Out processing, read only after completing your final mission. Oh, we'll get rid of that then. And then it's a big example of gameplay, which is excellent. We'll see all these in a minute, all the player charts, and here are those cards we were mentioning that give you the terrain that you're flying over. But it is quite an in-depth example of play. The game components. So we've got real historic figures included in the game and people that supported the game. And oh, look, who's that? Some chap called Rough Swordsman. Honoured. I was honoured when Thomas asked me if I could be a pilot. So yeah, there we go. And here are the counters. So as I say, you don't need to bend this back if you don't want to print them out. They will be on Board Game Geek. Double-sided. No, these are single-sided, so they're 2 single sheets. And then we've got these flight management charts depending on when you do the mission. So here we've got one for summer. So I'll bring that down a bit. There we are. And one for autumn. So the weather is a big factor in this. The course of the year. And then we've got the cards, the terrain cards as it were, for the game. The other side. These are all occupied France. I think that's the height you're flying at. And then we've got a pilot logbook here, which you can print out. And then the rest of the book is just history, designer notes, and all that. So we've got the planes themselves that were involved, the goodies and the baddies. Another great plane, the Mozzie. So over the page, we've got the cargo types that they took. And here we've got a short history of the SOE along with the initial mission planning. As I say, Thomas's books are full of background history. Even got the pilot clothing that they wore, how they prepared. And here's a picture of RAF 161 Squadron, special duties. Some of the characters. They navigated at night, getting the passengers ready. What happened if they were downed? Even to how they laid out the landing lights in France. Crikey. How to evade a German night fighter. See what I mean? Detail is incredible. So the pilots of 161 Squadron lived in Tangmere Cottage, just outside the airfield's main gate. Also got RAF Tempsford here. Other supporting history. Friendly fire incidents. The other types of SOE and SIS operations that were going on. And the historic figures, two main ones, James Atterby McCairns and, excuse me, but Per Heising Dahl, Norwegian. And the book is actually dedicated, which I forgot to show you here at the front, dedicated to these two gentlemen. One member of the French resistance and their losses of 161 Squadron. And even things on how to get hold of the 3D printed aircraft if you want to use those for playing this game. And then a final comment on research, game design notes, and a little bit about Thomas. And there we are. Heck of a lot of stuff in there apart from the game. So if this is for you, I would suggest you check it out on Amazon. But as you can see, a lot of reading in there for those that are interested in the history of this special squadron. So there we are. There's a look at a brand new Solitaire air war game, SOE Lysander, designed by Thomas Van Hare in association with Historic Wings. And as you've seen, a heck of a lot of extra info and history in the book for you to read and digest. Well, I hope you enjoyed that and you found it interesting. If you did and you haven't done so already, it would be great if you would consider subscribing to the channel. Really does help. Also of great help is if you push the like button, the thumbs up underneath this video. And if you want to be informed of other content the channel uploads, then push the bell. But make sure you push all notifications, because YouTube, the tinkers, might not tell you otherwise. Leave a comment. Yes, I know they're print and play. I don't mind a bit of arts and crafts, but if you make the effort, you'll get a lot of game out of these books. And a little birdie tells me that maybe in the future, these might be coming out in a sort of boxed set with all the counters already printed. So watch this space. But as you know, any comment is welcomed because I love to read them. Thanks as always to my subscribers. Thank you very much. And just before I go, if you wish to support the channel a little bit further, well, you can. You can buy the channel a coffee, and a link for that is in the description. Or if you wish, you can push the super thanks button underneath this video. Either of those, if you decide to do that, just helps the channel to keep on ticking along. So thank you. Right, once again, thank you to Thomas for sending me this. I shall be sitting down with my favourite beverage and absorbing the information in this book. So until the next video, as always, you take care and goodbye.